Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jaya Thomas, and I am an entertainment lawyer and the founder of Diverse Representation. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today for today's masterclass, How to Become a Television Writer. Before we jump into the masterclass, I want to take a couple of quick minutes to tell you about Diverse Representation if you are not already familiar with the company. So our mission at Diverse Representation is to increase the hiring of Black agents, attorneys, managers, publicists, and executives in the sports and entertainment industry. So if you haven't been to our site yet, we provide the first ever directory of Black agents, attorneys, managers, and publicists. And we're just working to ensure that more entertainers and athletes are hiring Black folks on their team. So in addition to the directory on our site, we also host different events like the one you are tuned into right now. We are doing another masterclass later this month on how to become a publicist, if anyone is interested in that. And also this month, we will be launching a portal directly on our website for any entertainment professionals looking for representation. You'll be able to submit yourself directly through our website starting in mid-July. So more details to come about that. If you aren't following us on Instagram yet, we are at Diverse Representation, and on Twitter at Diverse Rep. And now I am going to turn it over to our amazing writer today, Tosh Gray, who is going to be teaching today's masterclass. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, Tosh, for doing this. And thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to turn it over to Tosh now.
Hi, everyone. So I'm talking to myself. I can't see you. I'm Tash. I believe you guys have a bio, so we're not going to even waste any time on who I am. I'm a TV writer. That's all you need to know. Some credits are there. I use IMDb. Half of my credits are there because IMDb is ridiculous. But we're going to talk about how to become a TV writer, and we're going to do it in under an hour, and that's enough time. Okay, so what's a TV writer? One thing you should know about becoming a TV writer is if you are not a social person, if you're more of an introvert, TV writing may not be for you. TV writers work in collaboration with other writers. There is a staff of writers that creates every TV show you can think of. Right now, maybe 5 TV shows, including shows from the UK, British Columbian shows, are written by one person. All the rest are written by staffs of at least 4 or more, as many as 25 writers on a show like Family Guy, I believe, has 23 or had 23 at one time, writers on one show. You collaborate on the seasons. You're basically deciding as a group, and there's one person that leads the vision, and that person is the head writer. They're called the showrunner. And there's a stratification of writers in becoming a TV writer. When you look at the credits on TV, you'll see executive producer, you'll see co-producer, story editor. Those are all writers. Why those are the title, I don't know. I wasn't born when they came up with the titles, but those are the writers. You very you can literally Google NBA minimums, and that's the minimums that a writer will make weekly and how much we make per scripts minimum. And of course, they can go up. But if you're motivated by money, you should Google that, and that may help you stick through it. Okay, so like I said, becoming a writer, you need to be, if you want to do writing for TV, you need to understand there's 2 types of television writer. There is a drama television writer, and there's a comedy television writer. I happen to be both. About 20% do both, meaning you have credits in comedy shows and drama shows. Comedy right now is considered half hour, mostly half hour shows. There's two types of comedy predominantly. There's the single camera comedy, which is your Insecure or your Blackish. And then there's the multicam comedies, which is like The Neighborhood, or most CBS comedies are multicam. That means everything mostly happens on a stage. Single cam is shot like a feature film. And then there's drama. Drama, we all know what a drama is. This Is Us. It's considered a family drama. Then you have procedural dramas like the Chicago Enterprise, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. Those are considered procedurals because it's a very specific, I guess, what's the word? I'm only a writer. It's a very specific occupation that you're writing and you have to perfect, like in PD, police, MD, medical, Grey's Anatomy is a procedural. So why is this important that you understand that? Because as you begin to enter becoming a TV writer, you want to decide what type of writer you want to be. Now, if you say eventually I want to be like Tash, I want to write both, you still have to start with one. I started comedy first. I decided I'm going to do comedy, and I specialized in single camera comedy. My first spec, which I will explain what a spec is, was a show called 30 Rock. You've never heard of 30 Rock? I can hear you. Okay. And then there's drama. If you decide you want to be a drama writer, you should decide if you want to write a genre, whether it be whether you be I don't know, if you decide I like sci-fi. Sci-fi is a specific type of drama. Or if you're like, I want to do the feel-good drama, a la This Is Us, or All American. Some people consider All American a specialized because it's both a family drama and it has sports in it. So that's something to consider. All right. We talked about drama and comedy. You also need to understand explicitly genres, which I brought up: sci-fi, horror, suspense. All of those are different genres you should look into. Then you should also understand that there are differences between networks and streaming and cable. And so why do we want to understand that? Because when you watch TV, you know what you're going to find, right? When you go to ABC, you know the type of shows you're going to see, and you want to decide if that's where you'll fit. It's very important that you figure out where you fit so that you can, excuse me, so that you can decide to study it and become very specialized, become an expert in that amount, in that type of writing. Okay, so you've decided you're going to be a drama writer and that you're going to do feel-good dramas that are very soapy. And now that you understand that, and then you know you want to be on a cable show, let's say Snowfall, for example. Snowfall is a drama, it's cable, and it's a little bit soapy, and it's also a show that's considered long form, in that you're going to always follow the same format throughout the entire run of the series. Okay, you have all of that down. You're ready to go. Not exactly. The next thing you need to do is write an actual script. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier that you would find out. It's called a spec. A speculative is the long word, spec is the short word for it. And a spec is a sample of a television show that's already on the air. So you would watch, let's say, for example, a bunch of episodes of Snowfall, which is serialized, meaning, you know, each episode is predicated on the episode before. So if you like drop into the season of Snowfall and it's episode 7 out of 10, you might not know what's going on. If it's not serialized, that means you can drop into an episode a la Law and Order. You don't need to know what happened on the episode before or after to be able to understand the storyline. So you drop into Snowfall and you decide, I'm going to write a sample of Snowfall. A sample means you're going to watch the show, know the characters, learn the show, and then you're going to try to imitate the style and the voice of the show. Now, of course, there are a bunch of books out there on TV writing and on nailing a storyline, on how to get through from beginning, middle, and end, from Save the Cat, from many, many different books, which I will tell you some at the end. I'll actually grab some off my bookcase and show them to you. Another way to know what spec you want to write is to actually read scripts. So you should go online, go to Google. There's one that's called sitesgoogle.com, and it's TV writing, and there is folders and folders of pilots and sample episodes. You can literally Google Snowfall script and find either a transcript or, in some cases, an actual script. Why do you want to do this? Because if you want to become a professional television writer, you actually need to understand how it's written. There is a specific format. Everything is very formulaic. And if you don't have the formula, people will think you're a novice and they won't take you seriously. So you're going to have to do plenty and plenty of research. Okay, so now you've decided, I'm going to be a drama writer or comedy, whatever you decided. You know the genre you're going to do, family, soap. You've decided you're going to write a sample of a show that you love, because you got to know everything about that show to write that show. Now, once you decide that, your show should be able to go on air, meaning you can't kill people. That's the first thing. I'm gonna kill the main character. That's like a novice. You want to actually say, my script can fit between episode 7 and 8 of Snowfall in season 3. It was 7.5. We can slide it in and it will be just as entertaining. The audience that enjoys Snowfall would like Snowfall. And that's how you know you can be a TV writer. Next, one of the other things I said is, if you're not a social person, you probably don't want to be a TV writer. I'm going to explain that explicitly because there are a lot of great writers out there, but there's many things, many mediums you can write in. TV is such a collaborative sport. Think of it like a sport, that you have to know you want to play with a lot of people to create one thing. If you're like, I kind of like to go off and write on my own, maybe you're a novelist, maybe you're a screenwriter, maybe you want to be a documentarian and you want to write and research and do it that way. But if you specifically want to write for TV, I encourage you to find out if you like people. You spend a lot of time in a room pre-COVID with other TV writers. I'm currently on a show. I'm on one of the Power books, one of the spinoffs of Power. I'm on a prequel called Raising Kanan, and it's based off of Kanan, which is 50 Cent's character, him growing up and how he becomes who he becomes. In our room, there are 8 writers, including the showrunner. So it's the showrunner plus 7 writers. We also have a writer's assistant, a script coordinator, and well, if we were in the room, we're in the room via Zoom, but if we're in the room regularly, we would have a writer's PA. So between 10 and let's say 4 for drama, they have bank hours, meaning, you're not there all night. You're with these people. You take a short break for lunch, then you come back and you discuss everything that has to do with the story that's going to take place on that season. So again, I encourage you to find out if you like people and if you feel like you can write in a collaborative state. As a TV writer, on average, if you're a staff writer, in a season, you might write 1 script. That's something very important people should know. TV writers, on your own, You may collaborative write, you may rewrite a scene, you may do that, like I said, as a group, but by yourself, individually, you will only write, depending on your level, about 1 to 3 scripts a season. A season, it depends on how many episodes. So if there's 10 to 13 episodes, that's probably a 6 to 8 month time that you're spending creating that one season. And then if it's network, which can be 18 to 22, 26 sometimes episodes, you're probably together for 10 to 12 months creating that one season. That means writing and production. And in that time, the higher level you are, the more scripts you'll write. But the lower level, when you first start, you're really writing 1 to 2 scripts on your own. That's it. So if you're like, I want to write every day, TV writing might not be for you. All right, let's talk about something that I'm sure you're all wondering. How do I get a job? Let's say you wrote the script, you figured out what you want to, which kind of genre you're going to be. You found a show to write. And now you're like, I have a sample of my writing. Now I told you about a spec. Additionally, there's another type of sample, and that's a pilot. A pilot is, of course, an original show. A pilot is the first show for the original show that you think should be a series. Pilots are very, very difficult to write because you have to create the world, you have to introduce characters, you have to give goal, obstacles, challenges, blah, 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 blah. The best way to learn how to write a pilot is to watch a lot of first episodes of shows. Luckily, we have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, where you can literally go find the first episode of a show. You can go and say, I want to see the first episode of Grey's Anatomy. You can find that. You can find the first episode of Scandal. You can find the first episode of Blackish if you're doing comedy, the first of Insecure. And you can see how they introduce the characters, the world. You can see, you can watch it and take notes and break it down completely and say, I'm going to create a show about, you can have the show. I'm going to create a show about a man who decides he wants to quit his job as a teacher and become a basketball player. He's 45, overweight, and he's like, I can do it. I'm going to be a rookie at 46. Of course, that would be a comedy. I don't know how it would be a drama, but then we would find that journey of this 45-year-old man. We meet his, maybe who's going to help him get in shape, would be important to the story. His family, maybe the teachers our students he's leaving behind. But you would, in 30 minutes or less, and since it's a comedy, you would create this world of this guy who's leaving teaching behind to become a rookie for the NBA. And that's a pilot. So now you have a spec, you have a pilot, you're ready to show it to someone. Wait, before you can show it to someone, the next thing I encourage you to do is to come up with an elevator pitch. Okay, what is an elevator pitch? Imagine getting on the elevator on the first floor, pre-COVID. Don't get on elevators now, but get on the elevator, first floor, and you're going up to, let's say, the 9th floor. And you're on that elevator with Kenya Barris, who is the showrunner of Black AF. He created Blackish, Grownish, all the shows with ish at the bottom. Or you're on the elevator with Shonda Rhimes, comedy drama. I gave you a comedy showrunner and a drama showrunner because the showrunners hire the writer. I'm gonna get back to that, but just keep that in the back of your mind. You're on the elevator with them. You have between the first floor and the 9th floor to make them want to know more about you. That is your elevator pitch. It is your 100 words, 5 lines, 5 sentences saying who you are as a person that lends to your art as a writer. The perspectives you have, where you're from, what makes you special, what makes your writing unique, what makes your voice spring off the page. If it's comedy, you definitely want to be funny in your elevator pitch. I don't mean tell a joke. I mean introduce yourself in an entertaining and funny way. If you're a drama writer, you definitely want to have some type of lasting impression. So you want to say something that's remarkable and that they'll remember you, and they'll say, you know what, here's my assistant's email address, contact them. We can talk later. Now, why do you want your elevators pitch? If you have your samples, now have you with two, you have your spec and you have your pilot, and you now need to figure out who's going to introduce you to all the people you will need to meet in order to get that first job. You need to be able to introduce yourself in a quick way. Why? Because I'm now going to send you to networks, workshops, writing groups, things like this, so that you can meet as many people as possible. You can't find a TV writing job on LinkedIn. It will never be on any of the monster boards or wherever you go to find, I don't know, I haven't looked for a job that way in so long. They won't be there. You cannot find a job on human resources, on Warner Brothers, on ABC, it's not there. There's no TV writing jobs. You may see writing, but it has nothing to do with TV writing. Okay, so in order to get a TV writing job, you need to know people, because you're trying to get yourself to knowing a showrunner who will then say, oh, I need whoever you are, someone like you, to add to the perspective of all the people in the room helping to create this season of my show. Water break. How does anybody talk for an hour? Okay, so your elevator pitch, which I'm not going to go too much more in, but I will say I have these little animation videos on YouTube called just so happens it's called Become a TV Writer. I thought of this title before diverse representation, but no, I really do have a couple of videos on YouTube that I just put up when I was trying to help a bunch of people, and I found mentoring, was time consuming, but if I could just send everyone to one place and then we can talk about it after, we can move on. So I go there, it's free, it's Become a TV Writer on YouTube. I'm committing to put more videos on there in the next couple of months, because I just want to continue to help people. Okay, so now you have these samples, this elevator pitch. Now, do you need representation? I've sent you to networks and workshops. You've also maybe have entered some competitions, which we'll talk about briefly. But now, what is the route to actually get the job? You have samples of your writing, you like people, you can introduce yourself between first and ninth floor in a very captivating way, and you're ready to try to look for that first job. How do you get into this industry? One of the ways is via the assistant route. Now, I say go to the WNBA, that ain't right. The MBA, which is the Writers Guild minimums, to find out how much writers make. Writers make a very, very good living. However, assistants, they do not. They, of course, make what's considered living wage, but this is LA. In order to be a writer, you have to live where TV shows are made, where the writer's room exists. So if you're anywhere else in the world, you can stay there now, you can come up with your specs, you can write your pilot, you can really perfect your writing. But to actually move forward, eventually you're gonna have to move to LA or New York. 90%, 85% of the jobs are in LA. There's about 13% in New York and like 2% right now in Atlanta. Take your odds. If you decide I'm going to move to Atlanta, the pool is maybe smaller, but so are the amount of jobs you can possibly get. So just consider that. I actually lived in New York. I wrote on a show called P-Valley, which is premiering on Stars in a week or two. And I went to New York to write on that show, which was like, why would I do that? Well, specifically for that show, the creator is a playwright. She was also doing the musical Tina, which is on Broadway. Well, pre-COVID. It was on Broadway. So she was developing that, and she needed an upper level person who had my elevator pitch, meaning my perspective, my set of skills. And I really liked what she was doing and wanted to be a part of it. So I moved for 6 months. All of my other jobs have been out of LA. Most of my future jobs, 99, 95%, will be out of LA. So that's just the reality. We have to I'm just telling you, if you don't live in LA, it's going to be very difficult. Now, we may keep up with this Zoom thing. No, we not. But if we do, maybe that'll work. I doubt it. Okay. So if you come out here, one of the ways you can get in with your samples and, your elevator pitch is to become an assistant. An assistant means you're probably going to have a second job, or you save some money or you got a roommate. It's possible. And you're going to be an assistant for a television show, in that you may be a showrunner's assistant, which is the best job to have. It is one of the best entry level positions because you get to actually go to the writer's room. You get to actually hear what the writer's room is doing. You may not be in there every day, but once you do whatever the showrunner wants you to do, you'll be able to read the scripts, you'll be able to interact with the other writers, and you'll really learn the industry from the inside. There's also the writer's PA, production assistant, who can float sometimes in the room. There's other assistant jobs, which are just considered entry-level positions. There's the writer's assistant, who sits in the writer's room every day. Every show has at least one. There are shows with more than one writer's assistant. Comedies will have 2 writer's assistants because they're taking a lot of notes and they group write a lot. Again, gotta like people. So that's one way. I did not enter the assistant way. That just wasn't, that wasn't for me. So, and it's fine. You don't have to enter the assistant way. In fact, anything I say, this is just basically for you to take in and then come up with your own route, because there is not one way to become a TV writer. There are, I don't know how many ways to become a TV writer. There are the popular routes, and one of the popular routes is to become an assistant, meet all these people, they start reading your samples because you already have them. You don't want to get an assistant job and then start writing your samples, because guess what? You won't have time. So you want to have these samples, you want to be working on additional samples, and then you want to, kind of move forward with the idea that you've started to perfect your craft. Because the assistants on the show I'm on now, I've already read one of them. She's been a writer for about 6 years. This is her second job in TV. I absolutely will recommend her for a writing job. She is going to share a script with the showrunner because she has already perfected her job. And yes, she'll get paid the script fee, so that helps with the money. But she was ready to become a writer. So there's the assistant route. Then there's the route that I took, which was I entered a lot of competitions, and I did the Writers Fellowship way. So there's a bunch of competitions out there. There are a bunch of fellowships. I recommend you try the Blacklist. That's a great way because a lot of people read scripts off of there. If you get a good score on the Blacklist, at the end of the year, they send out a list of like the best scripts on the Blacklist, and people will read them. There's also CBS, NBC, ABC, Warner Brothers. They have writing programs. Warner Brothers is not a diversity, using it loosely, it's not a diversity program. It's just basically people trying to get in. You submit these scripts, they read them, you interview. If they like you, they bring you in, and then they introduce you to any of the showrunners on a part of Warner Brothers slate that may be looking for lower level writers, meaning at the staff writer level. Then there's ABC. They pay you for a year, and then they help you find a job in TV, comedy, or drama. I did NBC's program, which is also loosely, I don't know if it's still diverse or just writers, but at the time it's for underrepresented voices in Hollywood or in TV, and Black and brown female are still underrepresented. according to population and how many are working, et cetera. Statistically, UCLA does a thing. You can Google that and see the breakdown of the numbers. Diverse representation probably knows. Okay, so of that, I got into NBC, and at the time I was a grant writer. I was always writing. I had several scripts. I had won some competitions, which allowed me to meet many writers. One of the prizes was money. Some of them was meeting writers, getting your stuff read. So by the time I got into NBC, I knew some people, but I didn't know enough people to actually get a job. It did help me get the next thing I want to talk about, which is a manager. There are managers and agents. One of the ways to get a job as a TV writer is to get a manager and or an agent. Right now, we have some agents. The Writers Guild, Google this too. We fired our agents, but there are some agencies that have complied with our requests, and they therefore can be an agent of yours. There are some agencies that have not complied with our request, and we will not be working with them. If you chose to do that, it's probably going to be harder for you to get a job because 90% of the writers in Hollywood have decided those agencies they will not work with until they comply. Long story, and we don't have time for it. But an agent in normal circumstances could help you get a job. They know all the open jobs. They're able to submit scripts to showrunners without fear of being sued, because even at my level, which is co-executive producer, I can't freely read just random people, because say later I sell a show, you can be like, you stole my idea. And I'll be like, girl, no, I didn't. I didn't even read that script. But because you gave it to me, it could be a liable situation. So submitting and knowing what jobs are out there, agents and managers are best. I say manager first. A manager will help you shape your career. It used to be agent first, but I think now, my opinion, is manager first, because they look at you as a product and help you come up with like your brand and what that is and why. If I'm creating the team, remember it's a collaborative effort on television. If I'm creating the team to write this series, this episodes of my show as the showrunner, which is like the CEO of the show, I want to put a bunch of different people on it. I want to have, my starting 5 plus my bench. I want to have different kind of qualities. You may be a person who's really good with coming up with all kind of ideas, and a manager will help you read your work, those samples we talked about earlier, and decide what you are. Those are some of the ways. Another way to really get into becoming a TV writer is meeting other people who want to be TV writers. So you may think, well, Tash is a co-EP, she's going to be a showrunner, blah, blah, blah. I should know her. Actually, you're probably staff writers. That's the last people I'm going to hire. I start at the top. So I'm not really looking for your level yet, but if you have a bunch of friends who's trying to get in, they are your biggest resources. They know you together, what competitions are out there, what assistant jobs are out there, what workshops are available, what agents are looking, because you're all kind of in the hustle together. I would say the reason I am a TV writer now is because of all of the people I came in with. One of the people I came in with just got an overall deal. Literally, we both did not have jobs together. And went to lunch and was like, girl, what can we afford? And she just got an overall deal with Warner Brothers. We started together. We kept each other going. We read each other's work. Writing groups are also amazing, because you do not want to say, for instance, I say, I'll read your work. You don't want to give me a script that's mediocre. You want people who watch TV, who want to do what you do, who read a lot of scripts. You want them to say, your beginning's a little boring. or whatever. Or they're like, I love your beginning, but then it falls apart. Whatever information or, you know, constructive criticism they can give you to make it better. So you want to find other people on your level. That is another way. Now, I want to go on a few of the questions that were submitted beforehand, and then I'm going to open the chat for you guys to ask additional questions, but I want to do these really quickly. How do you find job openings for television? I believe I've already asked, but I'll go over it again. You find it through managers, agents. You can find it through other people who are already in the industry. Once you're in the industry, there's a portal on the Writers Guild when you're a member. But if you're not a member, you have no access to those jobs, and you can't apply for those jobs. So even if I saw them, I couldn't tell you because you have to be a guild member to submit through the portal, which is important for, like I said, suing purposes. If I have no paid experience as a writer, is applying for a television job unwise? Yes. As I said before, you definitely want to have your samples. You also want to have a perfected your voice. You want to know what type of writer you are before you try to apply for a TV job. It's just, you don't want to get in there and give a first bad impression. And you want to meet a lot of people so somebody can vouch for you, because this is very much a who you know, not who you know, who knows you type of industry to say, oh, you can be in a room with this person for 7 to 8 hours. What are studio, network, and companies looking for when hiring a television writer? They're basically looking for someone who has mastered their voice. What I mean by their voice, that is how you tell a story. That is, you know what you're really good at. You know that you can come up with 100 pitches. Pitches are how the person goes to their boyfriend and breaks up with him. Oh, maybe she throws a rock through his window. Oh, no, you don't want that? Okay, she decides to send him, make a social media account and then send him a message. And once he starts in, she's like, ah, it's me, your girlfriend, it's over. Like that was ridiculous. But that's pitches. That's coming up with all of these ideas. If that's something you're good at, you need to know that. So you have to know who you are as a writer. You have to know if you're funny. You have to know all of those things. So you have to understand the industry and the actual job before you can get one. Are there any particular books you recommend? Yes. So I said I would do that, and I have some sitting here. They're not as close as I wanted them to be. But there's writing a screenplay, how to sell one, I love this, how to write in 21 days. This is actually for a screenplay, but you should be able to write a good spec in 21 days. This timeline really, really helps me. I also have a couple of other books that I like. This one is good. It's really old, but it's really good because it's from a reader. It's for someone who reads scripts and then they give their opinion. And you want to know, opinion is subjective. So you want to know how people read your script. So this is one. It is called Hollywood Script Reader. It's by Jennifer Lurch. Storyline, which is by Jen Grisanti. Jen Grisanti is she is a, what do you call it? Writing consultant for TV and film, mostly TV. She works with the NBC Writers on the Verge program. You can find her at Jen Grisanti Consultancy. There's Page One Consultancy. There's a bunch of workshops that also have consultancy. Tanya, oh, her last name starts with B. I can't say it, it's very hard. She has a consultancy and they'll read your scripts and give you a professional, basically score of what they think your script is, how they think is a professional. And then also there's Save the Cat, which you should have heard of Save the Cat. If you haven't heard of Save the Cat, find out what Save the Cat is. Read Save the Cat because although it's not specifically about TV, it's about writing and about writing scripts, and you can use it for short form, long form. Did I get all of those questions? Okay, I'm just gonna give my social media and then I'm gonna answer these questions. On IG, it's Tash Manian, TashManian. On Twitter, it's Natasha Tash Gray, Gray. And again, the YouTube is Become a TV Writer. Also, if you go and watch the elevator pitch, right? You go and watch it on YouTube, you come up with the elevator pitch. For until July the 7th, you can email me. It's 291 people listening right now. Your elevator pitch. It cannot be over 100 words. If it's over 100 words, I'm not reading it. You can email becomeatvwriter@gmail.com. I'll tell you if it's good or bad, if it says anything about you. You're just going to go on there, watch on the YouTube page, Become a TV Writer, watch the one that's about elevator pitch, and then come up with your 100-word or less elevator pitch and send it to me. I might even decide, because they're giving me a little stipend, I might give that person, the best one, that stipend. I think it's like $250. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna Venmo you that. But yeah, go on there, and again, it's becomeatvwriter@gmail, under 100 words. If it's over 100 words, I'm not gonna read it. I'm just not. But I will tell you if it's good. Okay, let's look at some of these questions. Aspects still are specs widely accepted. Most writing contests this year require 2 original pilots. Okay, so specs are only really, some people want specs still. Most people want pilots. Specs are more for if you're trying to get into Warner Brothers, if you're trying to get into some of those writing programs, they still require a spec. I say if you're just starting, start with the spec. If you're just starting, start with the spec. Don't start with the pilot. That's just too much of an undertaking. Once you perfected writing a spec, which you have to be able to do, because you have to be able to write in someone else's voice, then go on to a pilot. Okay. So once you have an entry-level job, desk manager, writer's assistant, there's no such thing as a desk manager. Writer's assistant, personal assistant, you don't want to be a personal assistant. So writer's assistant, showrunner's assistant. Any tips on transitioning that position into a writer's job, the next level, and not getting stuck where you are? The best way is to always be writing, and you don't want to be shy. You do want to ask people eventually. You want to establish relations, and you're going to just have to ask people, will you read my sample? You're going to have to be bold and say, I have this really great writing sample. If you're a nice person and people just like your work ethic, meaning you're the best writer's assistant or showrunner's assistant, we will reward you and say, hey, you got something I can read? I have done that. I've also not wanted to read people and told people no because I thought they were lousy at their job. So you can't come in going, I'm just doing this writer's assistant job to be a writer and have the attitude that you're going to be bad, because that's not going to help. But you also don't want to be so good and lose focus that you want to be a writer. You're going to have to bifurcate your goals and say, I got to be good at this job, but I also have to remember that I'm a writer. I have to have new samples, and I have to be bold enough to establish relationships with, one, the other assistants, and two, the writers that I'm working with, to say, hey, will you read me? I have read someone and recommended them to my manager. My manager didn't sign them, but she read it. She was like, I don't think their voice is right for me. And she referred them to another manager. So that's what you want to do. Okay. I'm still reading. Give me a second, guys. All right, the next one. Do you think sizzle reels are essential to selling a concept script? No, I don't. People who sold scripts is based on the script. If you enter a competition and you have a script and you go, I got a sizzle reel, I don't think it helps you sell your show. It's the script that sells the show. There have been a few people who had like really, really great web series, Issa. And Issa's not the only one, I just want to say. But there have been people who made great series, like full-on series, that have got the attention, but then they still had to have a script. If they don't, they're paired with someone, and the work has to be so amazing for another writer to say, I'll take the burden of creating your vision. Most writers, we got our own stuff we want to sell. So it's very, if it's not like a property that's already proven with millions and millions of followers, or, you know, a book that's sold so many or something like that, it's hard to get a writer on it. If you're not an experienced writer, you don't have the script, it's very, very hard. You're like starting uphill. How much, I need to make this page bigger, Lord Jesus. How much, okay. How much more difficult can it be for Black writers? What are pitfalls to avoid? Are boxes we're put in to watch out for? I mean, I think as Black people, you know that we have issues all the time. I think the biggest thing is to not allow yourself to be put in a box. You know, I am very outgoing. I'm funny, but you're not gonna make me the Black writer that just comes on for the sassy Black character. No. So that meant I had to have very intelligent writing samples. I have to show that in addition to being funny, I started off in undergrad as an engineering major. So I'm very left and right brain. I look at stories as a formula. So I had to come up with a way to sell myself outside of the way, you know, liberal Hollywood might see me. That's just the real of it. So you really need to know who you are, and thus the elevator pitch speech, which will probably start off as 1,000 words, but then you get it shorter and you really succinctly find your superpowers, like the things you're really, really good at and how it adds to your art. As a producer writer, what is the best way to pitch to production companies? To pitch to production companies. Well, if you're already a producer, writer, or your friend with the overall deal, how can you get a general? Okay, if you're really friends with somebody, you're not pitching them. Like are you friends, or do you just know them or know of them? Because my friends would never pitch me a show. And if this is one of my friends writing this, how dare you? No, they would just say, hey, what's going on? Like an overall deal, the person with an overall deal usually starts with their own ideas, and then they go and find additional ideas. You get generals via managers, via knowing people who say, oh, you should meet this person. So if you have a friend, the best way is to say, can you read my sample? Everyone you have a general with, they've read your sample first. That's why you got to have them. If they haven't read you, they're probably not going to meet with you. A general is based on your writing that they like, and then they're trying to get to know you better. And if you have that elevator pitch, you start with that and you build from there, because then you're really introducing who you are, perspective, and what you have to offer. At what point in your career should you become a WGA member? In the beginning, after getting a staff gig. So you can't get into the Writers Guild until you are a professional writer, meaning you've either sold a script, you've been commissioned to write something through a WGA signatory company, a production company, a studio. So it's a guild. So a guild represents professionals in the industry of writing. So you can't just like call and join and like pay a fee, though you do have to pay a fee once you get in. You have to have a certain amount of credits. The script has to be a certain length. And again, those are actually, that information is on the Writers Guild website. You can go on there and find out the minimum requirements to join. How long does it typically take a writer's assistant or showrunner's assistant to get promoted? Which entry-level position has the fastest rate of advance? Yeah, no, there's no formula, guys. I wish I can be like, do this 2 years later, that. No, I've known people who were, okay, a friend of mine who is like an upper level, I won't say what it is, on Insecure. She was a writer's assistant for like 2 years, 3 years, and then boom, she got a job. But then I know another friend who's also an EP. She was never a writer's assistant. She literally got a job as a writer's assistant. Somebody read her work and she was bumped to staff writer weeks later. They just liked her and was like, yo, you're dope. We need another staff writer anyway. and that happened for her. So there's no one way. If you're writing and you're a really good writer and you're learning how to contribute to a staff of writers, your trajectory is going to be up to you. So there's no fast way other than I say just be a damn good writer who knows what you have to offer. Is it okay to spec cancel shows? It has to be a very popular show. If you're just specking it to learn the field, yes, because it's probably just gonna be for you and your friends, and as long as they've seen it, it's fine. But if you're giving it to someone who has, who has to read it out, like if you were giving it to a manager or something like that, you have to bank that they remember the show. So could you spec it's been canceled or going off the air? I don't know. Give me private practice. No, I wouldn't do that because people don't remember what the show is about, right? So I wouldn't do that. It has to be super. You can spec like Nash. I wouldn't do it, but you could. Everybody knows what it was about. Like Seinfeld, you could do it. Like you just got a bomb Seinfeld idea. It's going to be very considered kitschy and a gimmick. And most writers, we don't like gimmicks. We're like, just show me you're a good writer. Can you repeat the email address one more time? Oh, yeah. So if you want to do the competition for an elevator pitch, which is under 100 words. Now, don't say I didn't tell you under 100 words and you're like, why she never respond? And I'm only doing it until July the 7th. So I'll start reading on the 5th or the 6th, the 7th. That's it. And the email address is becomeatvwriter@gmail.com. Becomeatvwriter@gmail.com. Are you willing to mentor a writer maybe if the elevator pitch goes well? Okay, so this is something one of my mentors was the late great John Singleton. Love him. That's why I wrote on Snowfall, also wrote on Rebel with him. And John read my script before he met me. Another mentor gave it to him, was like, you got to read this girl's script. I was a comedy writer at the time. John Singleton told me, mentors choose you. Here's why. They see something so grand in you that they're overwhelmed to help you. John saw something in me, and I'm fortunate and blessed to have had a friendship and a relationship with John Singleton. He affected me in so many ways, and I still have additional mentors like Chels. I have mentors. They've all decided we're gonna help her. I like her writing, I like her hustle, I like him, her, whatever, and they choose you. Unless it's in a program, you can't really be, will you be my mentor? That's my personal opinion. If I see somebody's elevator pitch that's so bomb and I'm like, hey, you got a script, and I have you sign a waiver and I read it, then yeah, I'll be like, yo, I want to help you. I think you're so fucking talented, excuse me, guys, sometimes I curse, that I want to help you. But I really feel like it's about you working on you. Don't look for a mentor. Look for your path and work on it. That's what I believe. Okay. Can you repeat what's the difference between an overall deal and a first look deal? If you on how to become a TV writer, you don't need to know the difference between an overall and a first look. But I'm gonna tell you, look, an overall deal is meaning you're getting a certain amount of money over, let's say, 2 years, and that you may be assigned to a show and your salary is gonna come from that overall. A first look means they're not paying you nothing, but before you can go pitch it to someone else, you have to pitch it to them. It's like first right of refusal. They get to look at all the new things you do first before you take it anywhere else. First look deals, a lot of people on staff, when they get upper level, they have first look deals because they know they're creators, and the studio's not willing to like let you go somewhere else and create for someone without them seeing it first. But if you're on here, you don't really need to know that. I like your ambition though. Okay, how would you use social media to connect with jobs? You don't want to use social media to connect with jobs. You want to use social media to connect with people. However, on Twitter, one of my really good friends, who I was not writing in TV with, Latoya Morgan, she does something called staffing boost. And it started after we didn't have agents. And if you're on Twitter and you follow a lot of writers, you'll see sometimes they're like, hey, who needs somebody needs an assistant. And you'll just see the tweet randomly. I have seen showrunners tweets, they're looking for something, and I've sent them people. And the showrunner knew who I was and was like, yeah, I'll read them. So if you want to do that, you want to meet people, you're not going to get jobs. You just want to follow people and look for it that way. And you also want to do these programs, and in that way you'll know more people. But use social media to connect with people, genuinely connect with people. Can you speak more about playwrights become showrunners? They seem to rise quickly. Why is that? They don't. That's a myth. Playwrights don't rise quickly. Let me say this. Playwrights are always writing. That's what playwrights are doing. They have a ton of work. They've written plays, they've written TV specs, they're writing all the time. We could take Vittori, Hall, who created Dominique. She's about to do a show on HBO. Like, these are playwrights, right? And they have plays. They have so many sample writings that they're able to give it to the people. And then they have other ideas. But like Dominique, she was actually staff. She was on Shameless. So and I don't even know if she's going to be a showrunner of her show, but she probably can be. But she actually was on staff. And the reason why they can be, for certain networks and studios, showrunners, is because they've been on staff. But in Katori's case, she had a co-showrunner because she had only been staff once or twice. But she had run whole productions as a playwright. She had several successful plays. So if you have plays and you're literally an accomplished playwright, it may only take you 4 or 5 years after getting your first job to become a showrunner. Yeah, it is. It's because they've been writing so long, they perfected the craft, their writing skill and their craft, and they have a very specific voice. But they'll tell you, a playwright will tell you, it is a transition to TV. Katori was here right now. That's my girl. She'd be like, honey, yeah, I had to learn some shit. She knew writing, but TV is its own business. Would you mind repeating your IG and Twitter one more time? Sure. So my Instagram is Tashmanian. That's T as in Tom, ASH. Manian is all one, MANIAN. That's IG. And Twitter is Natasha Tash Gray, NATASHA TASHGRAY. That is my Twitter handle. I'll repeat, the YouTube is Become a TV Writer. I think you just put that in there, and they look like little cartoons. You'll hear my voice. The next videos will probably be my face, because those animations, though fun, they take a little longer to do. If you want to enter the elevator pitch competition, again, between now and July 7th at midnight, you can send 100 words or less about you. Do not send me, if it's a script attached, I won't read it. I won't even read your elevator pitch. Don't do that. Again, the YouTube is the name of this workshop, Become a TV Writer. If you Google that, or you put Tash or Tashmanian, Become a TV Writer, it should come up. I'm in the YouTube search bar. So I'm gonna wrap it up after this last question. And I hope I said something of value to the 292 people here. The last question, do you have any tips for how to make yourself and or your resume stand out for a writer, showrunner's assistant position? I don't. I don't have any tips. Just write. It should just be one page. It should show that you know a lot about TV. You're going to get a showrunner's assistant job by word of mouth. You're not going to get it again on LinkedIn or something like that. So it's going to be based on relationships, people who know you and can recommend you. Your resume, though, if you have the opportunity to submit your resume, it should be very succinct. It should be professional. And yeah, that's about it. That email should have your elevator pitch in it. That's it. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much. hope you learned something again. And, you know, if you email me a question, I may feel generous in answering it, but I'm really busy, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good luck to everyone out there, and bye. Now, how do I sign out?